Yes, it's Ratsy for DJKit back in the Ratcave, and today I am looking at the phenomenal Reloop Flux. Right, listen, I'm just going to get straight into this. I just want to point out Reloop's name on their Facebook page is Reloop Solutions for DJs, and no truer statement has been made with the release of this Flux audio interface. And I say that because this Flux is the only audio interface that's available on the market right now. So throw back to September 2022, last year, the Rain SL boxes didn't work on Serato anymore. It was, the announcement was made that they would no longer be supported with Serato versions 2.5.6 and upwards, leaving the DJs that were still using those SL boxes either stuck in a complete time warp where they could never update their Serato ever again, which was a massive kick in the chops when Serato 3.0 came out with the stems, which, you know, everybody wanted a piece of. Or the other choice, of course, was to buy a new mixer that had the audio interface built into it. So if you ever see a mixer, which in the description it says that it's DVS compatible, that means that it's got the audio interface built into it, which means that all of the magic that I'm about to tell you about this Flux actually happens within the mixer itself. But if your mixer doesn't have the audio interface built into it, so if you've got an old mixer or whatever, this is where the Flux comes in, and this is where you need this Flux in your life. So normally an external audio interface like this is primary use. Most DJs, let's say, use it for DVS, which stands for Digital Vinyl System. So DVS is when you use a time-coded vinyl like this. This is a piece of vinyl with a time-code signal put on it, and then when you put the needle from your turntable onto the time-coded vinyl, it sends a signal through the needle, through the tone arm, out of the turntable, into the audio interface, and then the audio interface sends that signal into your laptop, which is running the DJ software, and the software reads that timecode signal to control the software. So in this instance here, I have got the Reloop RMX60. Banging mixer. It's actually not that old. It is a fantastic 4-channel mixer at a really good price point, actually. But this RMX60 isn't DVS compatible. It doesn't have an audio interface built into it. So if I want to use this mixer, but also be using DJ software like Serato, I need the Reloop Flux. So how this works, as you can see here, I've also got a pair of Reloop RP8000 Mark II turntables with the Serato time-coded vinyl. These turntables, the phono out of these turntables, right, are plugged into the phono in on the Reloop Flux, okay? And that is here on the front. They're also grounded with the grounding cable on the front as well. So the signal, as I said before, comes from the time-coded vinyl through the phono cables, which is into the Reloop Flux here. The Flux then turns this phono signal into a digital signal that controls my DJ software, which is connected via this USB-C, by the way, on the Flux, but I'll get to that later on. So yeah, the Flux turns the phono signal into a digital signal into the DJ software, which controls the DJ software. Then the audio from the DJ software comes back down the USB cable, back into the Flux, and the Flux spits it out of the outputs as a line signal. So if you are using this Flux, you need to have the outputs, it's a line output, so you need to have them into the line inputs on your mixer. And that is how you get your sound. So 9 times out of 10, normally if you're not getting any sound or any signal, it's because you get confused. Because you've come phono out of your turntables, you don't then go phono into your mixer. It's phono from turntables, phono input into the Flux, and then the output of the Flux is a line signal, so you put that as a line signal into your mixer. So just to show you it in action, right, I'll drop the needle on the right hand deck over here, and then over here. Okay, so we've got 2. Okay, and that is DVS. However, it is not only DVS mode that you can use this Reloop Flux with, it's actually got a switch on the front of this audio interface where you can change the inputs to line inputs. So what that means is if you've got an old pair of CDJs that still take CDs but don't have HID mode, and if you can get hold of a pair of Serato, let's say time-coded CDs, you come the line outs of your CDJs into the line ins of the Flux. You play the time-coded CD, which works the same way as the time-coded vinyl with the signal, and it literally does exactly the same thing as what I explained before. You don't have to change any of the outputs because it's still a line output, so you'll still be in the line input of your mixer. But yeah, that's how you use CDJs, sort of DBS mode with this Reloop Flux. But there is actually more with this Reloop Flux as well. So you've got phono line inputs on the front, which is switchable. On the back, there's 2 USB inputs, which can be used for HID mode, as I said before. So if you've got a pair of CDJs, let's say, that are HID compatible, you can just USB straight into this Flux, and it will act as like the USB hub for your laptop. So you can just stick the CDJs in HID mode and your roll in. But also a really helpful thing about these USB inputs on the back is you can plug in stuff like a pair of Rain 12s will work the same way, or Phase, for example. You know, it basically, this hub saves you from plugging your CDJs or your USBs or your Rain 12s or your Phase or whatever you're using. Instead of plugging it directly into your laptop, you can plug it into the Flux, and then it's only one USB input from the Flux into your laptop, which is a blessing with the current sort of laptop situation where you get hardly any USB inputs. You know, it's nice to have everything just going into the Flux and then one output into your laptop. And actually, the beauty of using this Reloop Flux with these Reloop RP8000s is, for those of you that don't know, the RP8000s are actually a hybrid Serato turntable. So they act as a normal turntable, you know, like they would work playing normal vinyl or whatever you want to do. But if you're using them in DBS mode, with the time-coded vinyl, it works that way as well. But if you've got the USBs plugged in, it actually turns them into MIDI controllers. So down here, you can see these are like the performance pad kind of things. You've got different pad modes down here. If I unplug the USB, I won't do it because I don't want everything just to crash, but if I unplug the USB, this all goes away and it's just a normal sort of time-coded turntable. But as soon as you plug the USBs in, I'm using this with Serato at the moment, Serato realizes that, oh, you've got the RP8000 Mark IIs plugged in. So now, when I'm playing, I can... So that's like a hot cue there. So really, really handy, particularly with this setup, because I've got the turntables phonoed in, but I've also got the USB outs from the turntables plugged into the back of the Flux as well. And like I said, only one USB out of the audio interface into my Mac over here. So look, I mean, this Reloop Flux, this is absolutely, there was such a gap in the market for this, yeah? And Reloop stepped up, filled that gap, because this is perfect for DJs who have had the same mixer forever. And Serato and all the other DJ softwares are always evolving, but you know, if you're happy with the mixer that you've got and it doesn't have an audio interface built into it, why should you be stuck only using an older version of Serato, or, you know, having to upgrade your mixer? This Flux makes any mixer, right, it makes any mixer DBS compatible. And that is absolutely fantastic. But the other thing about this Flux as well is if you're a working DJ who works in clubs, you know, you might not know, unless you're big enough to request a rider and request a certain mixer, or maybe you take a mixer with you, how good to have this little Flux in your DJ bag, just knowing that if you get to the club or the bar or wherever you're playing and the mixer isn't Serato compatible, let's say, then you've got that in your bag ready to go. And I know that it does look a little bit sort of messy here, the way that I've got it set up, but this is a really, really tidy box. It's easy to plug in. You can plug in all the cables in preparation while the other DJ is DJing, if maybe you're following another DJ, and then you just bosh, 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 and you're good to go. But one of the best things about this Reloop Flux is that it works with everything. And when I say everything, I actually mean everything. So Reloop have primarily built this for Serato. You can see the Serato logo on here. And actually, when you plug this into Serato, it is a hardware unlock for Serato DJ Pro and the DBS expansion pack, which is fantastic in itself. For the price point that this Reloop Flux is at, you know, people might think it, I don't think it's expensive, to be fair, but if you think that the price point of this is expensive, if you then take off the expense of Serato DJ Pro, and the DVS expansion pack. Do you know what I mean? What a bargain. But anyway, yeah, so this is primarily built for Serato, but it does work with absolutely everything else, and that is because it is core compliant. And actually being core compliant, that does mean that it doesn't require a driver if you're using it with a MacBook. It does require a driver if you're using it with Windows. But yeah, man, this Flux, it works with Rekordbox, Tractor, Virtual DJ, and it even actually works with Algorithm DJ. I'm not going to show you all the examples, just take my word for it. But I mean, how fantastic. So you don't see that very often with other DJ manufacturers, and that is just super, super unselfish from the guys over at Reloop. Worth saying as well about this Flux is, even though people are going to primarily be using it as an audio interface for DJ softwares, you can use this just as an audio interface to get sound out of your laptop into speakers or whatever. You know, obviously it doesn't have any microphone ins or anything like that, but you can also use it just to play music as like a preamp for a turntable going into speakers or whatever. So let's actually take a little closer look at it here, right? So this Reloop Flux is 3-channel, just like the old SL3 box. All 3 channels are phono line switchable via the little dip switch at the front that I mentioned earlier. And of course 3 channels means that you can use all 3 channels for DVS. If you've got a 3-channel or 4-channel mixer. But if you don't want to go 3 decks, you can actually route the sampler out of the 3rd channel here, or you can use it as an aux input output as well. In terms of build, it's built really, really well. It's like made out of metal. It's not that heavy, but it's heavy enough to know to sort of trust it not to, you know, break. And actually what I do like about the metal is that there's like a lip that goes over the top of the connections at the front and the back, so that you know, the connections aren't going to get damaged or pulled out or whatever by mistake. And in fact, even the switches on the top here are flush, so there's not a lot of chance of them being sort of pressed by mistake. And just speaking about these switches here, they're brilliant. So they've got the little LED lights here, so you can see your signals, and that's for deck 1, deck 2, and deck 3. But also the buttons here, you know, if you're using this Flux in DVS mode, let's say with Serato like I am now, you can switch to out of DVS mode by, there's 2 ways to do it. You can either do it within the software or you just press these buttons. So if I press that now, you can see, hopefully see that the through button turns on. What that means is now, if I then take this Serato vinyl off and I want to play a traditional bit of vinyl, a vinyl record, I plonk that on there, drop the needle on, and then that will then play through the mixer, but still via the software. Quick bit about the sound on this. It sounds brilliant. You know, it's 24-bit audio, 96 kilohertz sample rate. Of course, when you're using it with Serato, that ducks down to 48 kilohertz. But no complaints on the sound with this Flux at all. Now, I did mention earlier about it being USB-C. This Flux has got USB-C input and USB-C output. And how that works is, well, it is bus powered. So at the moment, I've got it plugged into my MacBook here, and it's actually my MacBook that is powering the Flux, right? But what you can do is, instead of having your laptop on charge, you can have the Flux on charge, so you can plug the Flux into power, then you come out of the Flux into your laptop, and the power from the plug goes through the plug into the Flux. The Flux then pushes that power, not only powers the Flux, but charges your laptop as well at the same time. So again, one less cable. You know, I mean, to be fair, it does depend on which laptop you're using. I'm not going to get too technical with it, but that's a really, really cool feature to have. Anyway, that's pretty much it when it comes to this Reloop Flux. It's a bit of a strange sort of video. I can't really give too many examples of it. All I can say about this is that if you are a DJ who maybe you carry a mixer around to gigs with you, mate, have this as a backup. Or if you've got a mixer which, you know, if you've got more than one mixer like me, I've got an old, my first ever mixer that I had when I started DJing 18 years ago. I've still got that mixer kicking around, and I would just love, I mean, to be fair, I considered using it for this video, but it's in a warehouse somewhere. I need to go and grab it. But how cool just to be able to dig out a mixer from 20, 30 years ago even, or one of these cool sort of rotary mixers, you know, that all you hipsters are using these days. Stick this Flux in it, and then you have the choice to be using that mixer not only with Serato, but with any of the DVS softwares or any of the DJ softwares that support DVS, Rekordbox, Tractor, Virtual DJ, and now even Algorithm DJ. this is an absolute no-brainer. And I said it at the start, and I'll say it again. Reloop saw the gap in the market for this. I was really disappointed with Serato when they binned off the SL boxes. I know that they were old, and I understand that the software's evolving and there was no more firmware for those boxes, so they couldn't keep up. But Reloop saw the gap in the market, and Reloop, solutions for DJs, they gave those DJs a solution, and the solution is this Reloop Flux. Look, go and buy one. It's as simple as that. Anyway, look, if this video has been helpful, then make sure that you like it and share it with everybody else, or share it with someone who you think would find it helpful. Maybe someone who's got a banged up old mixer that would love to integrate it with the Flux to use it with DJ software. Guys, let me know in the comments, did you used to have an SL box which you had to maybe bin off because of the new updates in Serato 2.5.6? Mate, grab one of these Fluxes. You can use this with Serato stems, all of that jazz. It's absolutely amazing. Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the DJKit YouTube channel. There's loads more videos like this with my face chatting all over them. Anyway, guys, until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.